might as well get started. So we're all filled, we're all primed, we're all sanded, and we're ready to paint. Taping off these fenders now because I want to do them first. I don't want to be taping off paint to paint the fenders afterwards and chance a problem on the paint itself. So I'm going to tape off the side of the vehicle so that I can get the fenders done, and if there's a little bit of overspray, then I can address that then. So we now had roughly 10 minutes for this side to dry. They recommend doing your coats about 10 minutes apart. So it's time for coat number 2 on the fender. Peinture pour métal, pour surfaces métalliques. So that's ideal. Corrosion and rust resistant, durable hard finish, excellent adhesion, chemical resistant. We're going to start by applying in an inconspicuous area, that being the inside here, which I had previously painted red. So I'm going to brush apply on the inside because it's the inside. I don't need to be wandering around with a full gallon because the way I work, it'll definitely be all over the place. So as evidenced by the fact that it's already on the counter. Nice work, Williams. You're off to a roaring start. All right. Well, coat 1 looks a little terrible. Let that dry, give it a sand, and then get coat 2 on, maybe this afternoon. All right, so first coat is dry. You can see, obviously, it's going to take a little bit more to cover, and wherever we've got some drips coming down here, everywhere there's going to be a spot for the paint to build up. So I'm going to sand this down now, and then we'll be able to brush on coat number 2. I'm liking the color so far. And for the sand, I'm going to use the orbital on these larger flat areas and a 220. Whoop. Use a 220 for it. I got a little hand sanding in the corner areas there as well. Again, on the inside, I'm not as concerned about it, but anyway, sanding time. All right, light sanding complete. Time for coat number 2. Fast motion. Okay, so I'm really not emotionally ready to start spraying yet. Physically, I think I pretty much am, but I got to make sure that I'm going to do this right here. So, got the gun. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to about 25 pounds psi. I watched a video that says between 22 and 25 pounds for a base coat is what makes sense. Gonna make sure I don't mix these two up. The paint can, it says not to thin the paint. I'm gonna put the coffee up here. So we're set at 22. Okay, I'll get this in. I have no idea how this is gonna go. I know I need to get this on tight. Pop the cap. I'm going to take the fluid level and I'm going to put it all the way in, which it is right now, and I'm just going to dial it back 2 turns. 1, 2. And then it's got another nice little screw on here that I can turn and lock it in place. So that's what we're at now. So that's where I'm going to start. That's what I'm going to try. I'm going to take the fan and I'm going to turn it wide open. Lord hates a coward, right? So the good news is I've got a little bit of a test palette as well, or a test subject, and that's the underside of the hood. I'm going to spray the crap out of it until I get this thing right, or until I determine that there's no way I'm going to get it right. So we're ready. I'll respirator up, take one last pull, set that on that lit piece of paper over there. And let's give this guy a try. Okay. So I'm not sure if this is too thick to go through this particular valve. Okay, I'm going to close that fan. I'm going to open the fan a bit more. So as much as it says not to thin this paint, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try thinning the paint, get it to, see if I can get it to flow through there a little better. Okay, more thinner has now been added, and we're probably about a 3-to-1 now. Okay, so yesterday did not go very well. did a little bit of jerry rigging. First thing we found out is that it says do not thin on the direct to metal paint. Despite that, we tried thinning it, which made it thicker, turned it into a paste. We then realized that we're actually dealing with a latex paint because it washed off without paint thinner, and in fact got thicker when you put paint thinner in it. So we managed to get this thing taken apart and got a larger spray nozzle put in, and now, first time in front of you guys, we're gonna give this thing a try again, and we'll see whether or not we get a better spray. Might as well let you guys see this too. Well, I don't know about you, but I've seen enough that in my homebrew world, I'm going to try painting the top side of the hood now. Wish me luck.
Are we going to see him with the vice president after the next time? I know you all have asked this question of him, you've asked this question of me. They have, say, the president.
My guess is she's not going to have much to share. She has nothing more to share. She'll have nothing more to share. Nothing more to share. Nothing more that I can share.
And understands that she's going to cut her own path. Said this himself just last week when he was in Philadelphia. Don't have anything to share again on the schedule. I know this is all part of the scheduling.
Nothing to share.
And we certainly will.
All right, so we've clearly bumped into an issue with how we're going to spray out El Jepo. That's not going to stop us from making progress in other areas. I got some undercoating to do. Still got some work in the engine bay to do. We got to get that skid plate put on for the gas tank so we can get this thing started up. We can get some tires on. We get it dropped to the ground so we can work underneath it properly, because these jack stands are starting to get in the way. So let's get undercoat. Good Lord, how in the world did you escape? I think maybe in light of what was just discovered under here, a coat of rust converter is probably in order. I'm going to get the rust coating now sprayed in underneath. I can find my cardboard. The joys of rework. It's looking like it's going to be a while before I get this top coat of paint figured out. So in the meantime, I've got a little rework to do. I painted the inside of this thing already, reddish, red-like. Now, I'm going to go through and disconnect some of these attachments to the engine bay and redo it in nighttime tan, whatever it is. Gaza strip tan, I can't remember what the color is. That's definitely going to need a second coat. Okay, so I've got the walls of the engine bay painted to a spot that I'm happy with now, that I can start reinstalling some of the bits and bobs. The battery stand, jack mount, radiator overflow over there. Yes, I know it's still a little red over here. I'm going to focus on that a little bit later. Two reasons. One, because we've got some more engine work to do down here, and two, because of the ADHD. I can't stay with it that long. I got to replace some of this loom cable that I got paint all over. It looks a little bit messy right now. I'm also going to stick the radiator back in, start kind of taking the pressure off of the storage room, and getting some things back installed. So looking forward to that, while I still try to figure out what's going on with the paint spray. Might as well give the radiator a shot. See if we can get him back in. Like so. Drop the radiator in. Like so. Come on. Get in there, you. Much time has passed. Well, a day has passed. Radiator's now back in. Starting to look a little bit more like an engine. The ADHD meds have given me the ability now to work on this tiny little area here. Okay, kind of in this awkward no man's land right now, where until that fuel skid plate comes in, I can't do too much unless I can figure out this painting. So I've now got the gun with the largest sprayer, the largest nozzle, and the largest diaphragm opening that I can get. I'm going to give this one more try before I say forget it and just call the guy down the road. Copy. Oh, great. I'm going to try this one last time. Not going to put too much in because I'm not really all that optimistic right now.
Yes, I'm definitely smelling victory now. I think we're going to be okay.
Well, the painting seems to be going pretty well, so I might as well jinx it by adding some more. And really getting going. For better or worse, the first coat is done. Figured out a little bit of a trick as well. Clean the nozzle between sprays and I get a little bit more flow. So I'm gonna get a second coat going. The Norton 2000 grit sandpaper. Finished my first coat on Franken Jeep, so now I'm going to go over, get a little water in a bucket, do a little wet sand, and just get down some of those little bumps that came up during the frankly tragic first stage of my spraying career. Oh, and before I forget, nothing but the best Co-op spring water. This spot might be a little tough to see, but this is where I bumped the top of the gun when I was bending down to try to get to a certain area. So it's light to me. There we go, nice and smooth now. Almost like I put that there to create a tripping hazard for myself. And I've walked around it probably 20 times this morning. 21. Okay, this is not your standard spray approach to doing a Jeep or any vehicle for that matter. I know, smooth, 80% overlap, all that sort of stuff. That's just not how it's working out. So I'm going with what's working. Due to the hinges in black, so I'm going to take these off and get those sprayed out. These are the door hinges. Might as well get them taped up and sprayed out too. I'm gonna do all the hinges in black. I'm going to do the hood hinges in black as well, but these have somehow missed the cleaning process. So I'm going to get them in a rust bath along with these screws. Somehow, and I'm not sure how, the back of the tailgate, this little fella slipped through all the filters and all the checks, and it's only been primed. Doesn't even have a first coat yet. So hopefully we can apply a magical first coat on this, so magical that it takes away from the fact that this thing is a complete mess. All right, clearly I've got some buildup going on here. Let's do the light test on the hood together. A little drip there. Now should we do the light test on that monster of a tailgate? It's one of those things that's sort of testing my tolerances, my levels of what I'll accept, and whether or not I want to spend the money to just go and get another tailgate. The windshield was so bad that we had to, but I don't think that's bad enough. It's going to be covered by all kinds of latches. It's going to be covered by a spare tire cover, and I just don't think it's worth it. We'll clear coat it, put the hardware back on, and we're done there. Last night's storms have passed by now, so it's a nice, calm, sunny day. And I got about an hour and a half where I can get that last coat now.
Let's take it inside in the booth. We'll go take on Franken Jeep itself. This might take a minute to get the hose in, but I'll see you guys inside.
Time before we start clear coating. It's clear that some bits on this windshield need some attention. Now that all the painting is done, I've got the paper pulled out so I can recoat the floor. This is all overspray, but I can recoat this floor now in black. Very small but critical detail on Franken Jeep is going to be the color of the Jeep logo on the side panels. So because the hinges and other fender attachments and that are all going black, the obvious choice would be to go black. I'm going to try going with this $2 Home Depot Oops paint. So I'm going to give this one a try, see what it looks like. I can always paint it black afterwards. There's going to be a bit of a wind tunnel in here now. This is where we're going to end chapter 10. Now in terms of costs for chapter 10, well really it was a carryover of the same processes from chapter 9. It's all stuff we already had. So there are no new costs. I think we're at $3,044, something like that, but I can correct myself down below if I'm not. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully next time we'll be able to even finish a stage in one chapter.